Hello and welcome to the If You Can Dream It podcast, the podcast series where we not only talk about the latest theme park news, rides, and attractions, but we also create them. My name is Joe and I'll be your host of this podcast series, and it did not take me 3 months to actually put out an episode this time. Hooray! And also, I'm not alone this time, so I actually do have a couple of guests with me today. So, friends, how about you guys introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name's Josh. I am a travel agent, so I work with all kinds of new people, teaching them about Disney and different theme parks. So excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Tammy.
My name's Robbie. I don't work in any sort of like travel or anything like that, but I like theme parks, and I'm just along for the ride.
There's no problem with that. Just being here, Robbie, at all. No, we're all, I'm super happy to have you guys on because trying to do this podcast solo is a bit of a nightmare. I will say that myself. So we do have a couple of news stories that I do want to chat about. So let's jump into some general track talk, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right, so we don't actually have a lot of Disney news for this podcast. It's mostly going to be a Universal heavy news. But the one Disney thing that I did want to talk about is we are getting a Wreck-It Ralph attraction. Hooray! At Tokyo Disneyland. Yeah, so Wreck-It Ralph is finally being made into an actual attraction at Tokyo Disneyland. This will be part of their Tomorrowland revamp they're doing currently with the Space Mountain revamp as well. Wreck-It Ralph will be a shooter style attraction, so similar in vein to Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster, because it will be replacing Buzz Lightyear Astro Blaster over there at Tokyo, and that Buzz Lightyear ride will be closing in October later this year. The story behind this attraction is that you are stepping into Sugar Rush. You'll be helping Ralph and Vanellope deal with these new glitches called Sugar Glitches that were sent by King Candy. It may be possible we might see other Wreck-It Ralph characters like Felix and Sergeant Calhoun, but they haven't really discussed anything about that yet. What do you guys think about this? If this attraction were to do well, would you like to see it somewhat transfer over here to the domestic parks, or would you rather have it remain as an international offering only?
No, I'm all for diversifying the rides at the different parks. You know, I don't really love having a clone of Buzz Lightyear in 8 different places. So, you know, even if it's not a perfect replacement, I'm all for putting something new there. I just wish, I know it's going to be mainly set in that Sugar Rush race scene. They talked about shooting little kawaii sugar confectionaries and stuff, and that sounds super adorable and super fun. But for me, one of the really cool things about Wreck-It Ralph was all of the cameos that we would get from other IPs. And so a shooter seems like the perfect kind of format to show, you know, have Sonic the Hedgehog off on one side and have whoever else, all your different IPs around. So I'm curious why they're not really doing that, if the IPs work different in Japan or what. But like Sonic, for one, is enormous in Japan, so you'd think even just a little cameo would bring people out for it.
Definitely. And what's actually kind of funny about this is that when I did my first episode for If You Can Dream It, I actually did pitch a Wreck-It Ralph shooter attraction, so this is very fitting. And like you pointed out, with the having other IPs, we might see more out of this attraction. Again, this attraction isn't set to open until like 2026, so there might be more details about potentially seeing other worlds.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they're holding it for like a little bit later buzz and excitement as we get closer. Be like, oh, and Sonic's gonna be here, and this person's gonna be here. But
you do that intentionally, yeah. little bit of buzz.
There you go.
That's great.
Yeah, no, I love the Astro Blasters format. Definitely want to see it applied to, or see other IPs come into play with that. So it's cool to hear they're doing something with a Wreck-It Ralph version of it. Yeah, I just want to keep seeing that. But I to your question, Joe, about seeing Astro Blasters in Disney World, I don't know. I like it too much. I don't know if I want it to go away.
And that's the thing. As much as I would like Buzz to get a facelift, that Tomorrowland era, especially for us and even at Disneyland, just needs a revamp. We started seeing it when we got Tron Light Cycle, and maybe we're going to get it with whatever they're going to be doing with Stitch's Great Escape. But I think I'm actually kind of ready for Buzz to go. Because Buzz came into the parks like 20 years ago? Something like that?
Yeah, I didn't even realize that it was that long ago. But yeah, that is a good point with like the whole Tomorrowland slowly starting to go through a sort of a facelift here with especially like Tron being one of the biggest pieces to change with that whole part of Magic Kingdom. I'll say I don't want it to go, but I'm kind of expecting it to go eventually. I thought when I first saw this, I thought it was in Orlando, and the time had finally come. But Then I saw it was Tokyo Disneyland.
Yeah, I mean, I like having Buzz over there. I just wish somebody could get in there with a duster once in a while, keep it a little clean.
Oh yeah, the mountains and mountains of dust in there.
Oh, man.
Looking like the haunted mansion in space.
Oh, don't bring back that ghost galaxy.
As much as I love Disney World the way it is, and I grew up going to Disney, I think we need some new attractions because it's been the same for a very, very, very long time. So I wouldn't be against it.
I think we're all kind of in the similar mindset, like saying, yeah, it is a classic, but I think Buzz is getting low on batteries.
Okay, that's good.
I'm sorry,
That's
I had to do
great.
that joke.
No, we got to keep these up.
That's a terrible joke. I'm so sorry about that. All right, so switching over from Tomorrowland and going into tomorrow's offerings, we're going to be talking about Universal. All right, so Universal actually had a huge news week announcing not only stuff that is coming in the immediate future to the Orlando parks, what's coming to the Orlando area next year, as well as what's coming into California. So we're going to start off what's coming into the immediate future. So for the current Orlando resort, we are getting 2 brand new nighttime shows, 1 brand new daytime parade, as well as a brand new land area. So the 2 nighttime shows that we are getting Hogwarts Always, and we are also getting Sensational. Starting off with Hogwarts Always. This is a brand new castle-based projection show over on the Hogwarts Castle and Islands of Adventure, where basically guests will be taken on a journey through iconic moments throughout the school year. And they said that this show will have 4 different endings. Now, I'm not really sure about this because Universal kind of made this a little confusing in their actual press junket describing this show. They say that this show has 4 different endings. Now, I'm not sure if that means each show that they do will have a random ending each showing, or whether or not each house will have its own ending that leads into one final big pyrotechnic display. A lot of people seem to think it's going to be the former option, where personally I think we're going to see more of that latter option that's actually happening. Now, I've been a Potterhead since I basically grew up, but I don't know. I think we're getting a little Pottered out. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm coming from the other side of it. I'm the Potter ignorant here. Like, I really didn't grow up with the books and movies too much, other than really the theme parks has been my introduction to the world, which has been really fun. And so having a new show is always cool. I do really like the idea of having different endings. You know, it brings people back into the parks. If, you know, their house didn't win tonight, maybe they come back tomorrow, see it again. It does seem like a good way for them to get that kind of repeat traffic if that's what they're after. It just seems like everything's super contained to the castle. You know, I don't know why we aren't doing this out over the lagoon or over the lake in kind of a bigger area.
Yeah, it is such a like congested area because that castle is such in the like a weird place, being between the bridge to head over to Jurassic, and then also being squished next to Flight of the Hippogriff. So like literally that viewing area for trying to view that castle show is so condensed. I remember going during horror nights and stuff because they were doing the dark arts version of the projection show and stuff at the castle, and it was just like wall to wall people. It's also on an incline, so it's just making matters worse a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like either you're standing on that bridge between, you know, the castle and Jurassic Park, or you're just kind of seeing an obstructed view, I feel like.
Yeah, we're getting that. So that's will be debuting on June 14th. Yeah, June 14th. Then the other nighttime show, which I'm actually super excited for, is Sensational. So Sensational will be actually held over at the Studios Park. So this will be in that lagoon area between dividing New York, Simpsons, and San Francisco. Yes, San Francisco. I had to go through the areas. And basically, this will be a water-based projection show, taking you guests through sweeping scores that include the likes of Jurassic World, Ghostbusters, Trolls, Back to the Future, Jaws, and so many more. And this will have, like I said, water projections that are in 4K, areas surrounding lighting events, as well as 600 drones. So that is very exciting that we are getting another drone competitor. As we talked about drones the last episode for Disney, this will be that times 10 apparently. I'm so happy about that.
Yay.
Yeah, that's huge. That's awesome. Definitely excited for the drone aspect to that, and seeing how that comes into play there.
It'll be fun,
Definitely.
and it's super exciting to see the drones finally hitting Orlando. You know, it's been kind of talked
Yeah.
about for years and years, so it's going to be fun to see the big drone shows popping
And
up.
it's fitting that Universal is finally getting it, because they've been the ones that have been like testing it the most. If it wasn't just for this show, but other stuff,
Yeah.
maybe for Epic, but it was just so, it's like, this is just a summer of drones that we're getting, because Disney is getting it, I want to say starting next week. Still around like the 24th. That sounds right. 24th of May, something like that. And then Universal's getting it like a couple weeks later. I'm all for it. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Do you think we're looking at 600 being like an upper limit to the size of any drone shows in any of these parks? Or do you think we're gonna see much bigger ones here, especially if they might be a part of like Epic Universe or anything like that?
I want to say the 600 is just because of how big that park is for studios is, and how small of an area that lagoon is. I think they limit it to that, but like if like something like this were to happen over for Epic when that opens up, I could see them adding on more. 600 is probably just that ballpark figure, saying, what can the FAA, sorry about that, let us get away with where we're not endangering pedestrians and or other air traffic.
I think the future farmers of America would maybe have a little word to say too about that.
Thank you for getting that joke.
I hope we see like the drone rat race, you know, like Universal has 600 drones and Disney's like, no, we're gonna do 800 drones, and Universal comes back and they're doing 1,000 drones, and we just see these massive black out the sky swarms of drones over years and years.
I just want to see SeaWorld just one up everyone, just do Price is Right rules and just go up like,
Yeah.
oh, you're doing a 600 drone show, we're doing a 601.
That'd be amazing.
SeaWorld comes in with the drone chair.
Yes.
A drone Shamu, there you go. All right, so we're obviously excited about these nighttime shows, but we are getting a brand new daytime show as well, and that is going to be Universal's Mega Movie Parade. So this will be one of Universal's biggest parades they've had to date. It will include 13 floats, over 100 performers, and IP with the likes of Ghostbusters, Jurassic World, Jaws, E.T., Trolls, Back to the Future, and so much more. This is awesome. First of all, with the representation of the classic Universal movies too, so Jaws, E.T., and then Back to the Future coming back into the parks, as well as some of the open day attractions too, which Ghostbusters. I'm super, super excited about that.
Yeah, Jurassic World specifically for me, like I want to see those really cool, detailed dinosaur puppets that they have all over. You know, some of those raptors walking around in the parade would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that I want to say this is going to be a more or less a daytime version of the show they have currently. One of the No Limits parades over in I want to say it's Japan. I think it's Japan, where they have but there was a nighttime version of it where they had a float with a giant T-Rex breaking out of it it was led by gyrospheres. Like that was just awesome looking and stuff. Just seeing it roar and like look everything, because I think it's done by the same people who did the or at least this will be done, the creature effects will be the same, will be by Creatures Technology, I believe, who did the same puppets for the touring Jurassic World tour that was going around for years, and then the I think the puppets, the actual skin or the animatronics for Velocicoaster.
Yeah, I was gonna say I really like the idea. I was going to say this with Sensational too. I like anything that brings a whole bunch of IPs together. And you know, these are two things that are coming in, a nighttime show and a daytime parade, that are going to do exactly that. I just like seeing pieces of all of these different worlds together and interacting with each other. I want to see little raptors walking alongside the Ectomobile. I feel like that'd be real cool. That tickles a certain part of my brain.
That'd be great. Little raptors with the little proton packs.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. That's going to be fun to watch and actually see. That will be debuting on July 3rd. So it's a little different thing from what the two nighttime shows are going to be. So both the nighttime shows are debuting on the 14th of June, and the parade will be debuting on the 3rd. We have one more thing to talk about in this Universal Orlando Resort update, and that is we are getting a brand new land, or I should say we're getting a newly rethemed and constructed land. So the last thing that Universal kind of told us about what is coming to the current Orlando Resort area will be DreamWorks Land. Now this land will be getting 3 different areas themed to Shrek, Trolls, and Kung Fu Panda. So I'm going to break down each land's offering per section. So we're going to start off with Shrek. So Shrek is going to have a interactive play area in Shrek's swamp. So you'll see that his tree stump home. You'll see bridges. There'll be like mushrooms and other swampy things there. You'll have a meet and greet with both Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona. So that Donkey animatronic that everyone loves so much is returning. You're also going to get a chance to meet Puss in Boots and also Kitty Softpaws, as there will be an area dedicated to Mama Luna's Feline Fiesta. So that's the cat retirement home from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. So if you guys saw that one, so that's pretty cool. Jumping to our next area that we're going to be talking about will be Kung Fu Panda. So Kung Fu Panda will have more or less 2 areas in that park, and that'll be the very back half of the park. So where the old Curious George play attraction was, that's what's taking over it. They have post-training camp, which would be a very large splash zone with water cannons, a giant dump bucket, as well as giant fans that you can play around with. And this will also house the Poe live show, which is where guests can interact with the digital Poe and also learn some Kung Fu moves. So that's pretty cool. And finally, the last area of that whole DreamWorks place will be the Trolls area, which will house our wonderful Troller Coaster. So Troller Coaster will be a family coaster where guests will board a catterbus and escape giant spiders. So that's fun. So it'll be it's a rework of Woody Woodpeckers. So that's fun, as well as there will be a little play area themed to Poppy, where your kids can bounce and play on mushrooms. So that's all pretty cool. And then the last thing for that entire area will be a rework of the DreamWorks Theater, which will have a multi-century live show that will host a cavalcade of characters of DreamWorks characters in their wheelhouse. So all in all, that sounds like a pretty awesome location, because one thing that Universal does get flack about is it's more themed towards the older kids and not much towards like younger kids as well as their parents as well, that everyone can enjoy. So I'm excited that we are getting that area so that ET can also somewhat take a break, because that ride has been holding down the fort for that side of the park since the closure of Kids Zone.
Right.
So what are you guys happy for DreamWorks Land to be opening soon?
Yeah.
The one thing I'm looking for out of this, if I go meet Shrek at the swamp meet and greet, will he tell me to get out of his swamp?
Get out of the swamp. I can't do a good Shrek.
Oh,
And I think there's some really cool opportunities for smells here. I don't know if they're really interested in doing smells again or not, but like a swamp smell when you meet Shrek, or like a cool flowery forest troll smell. Like there's some cool smell opportunities, I feel like.
I want to rewind to the swamp smell real quick. Are you sure you want that?
I do. It'd be great.
No, it would be good.
Well, I mean, Disney has that contract with Sensory, or get Magic Candle Company on the phone. So
I'm a mom and I have a 9-year-old that doesn't really like scary rides, so we haven't gone to Universal in a long, long time. So maybe this will probably bring like families a little bit more back to Universal. I remember growing up with the Barney show and was it Woody Woodpecker's roller coaster, and like I remember the water ride there. Was it Fievel? That's right.
Yeah, they had the Fievel's Playland.
I'm really excited for like the Shrek and all that fun stuff. Hopefully, maybe it'll be more family oriented instead of all scary rides that some kids don't go on.
Yeah, so I have a question for you, Tammy, as a mom then, because my only real question with this DreamWorks Land is Shrek. Like, is Shrek still relevant for the kids? It feels like I haven't heard of Shrek in a long time until this land popped up.
Not really. Like, my son hasn't been really interested in Shrek. Like, but I guess it might still be a thing. I don't know. Maybe it's like for the parents. Who knows?
Yeah, like it's a fun IP for sure, and I'm excited to see it, but I just didn't know if the kids were still after it.
I know there's talks about them doing another Shrek movie and stuff.
Sure.
You just had me. Sorry, you just had me looking up when the last Shrek movie came out, because I can't remember. But yeah, the one of the Puss in Boots movies is it's only 2 years old, so they're still working that IP for sure.
Fair. Yeah.
They're still relevant because yeah, like Puss in Boots just I want to say was up for an Oscar, right? Or not
Yeah, yeah, you're
not
right.
last
What?
year, but the year before. I
Okay.
want to say
Yeah,
it was best
yeah.
animated film.
Wow. I stand corrected. Shrek's here.
Shrek is here.
Bigger and better than ever.
Yeah.
Jumping over to our next news story, we're actually going to be talking about the newest reveals for Epic Universe. So, it was recently revealed that Super Nintendo World will be coming to Epic Universe. Yay! It's not like we already knew that or anything. That's been on my mind recently. That should have been the first reveal instead of Dragons or Celestial Park. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, to recap what got announced is that Super Nintendo World will open up with basically 2 distinct land areas, one themed to Super Mario Land and the other one themed to Donkey Kong Country. Now, Mario Land will consist of 2 attractions. They'll have Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, which will be the AR dark ride where guests will race along Team Mario and basically collect gold coins and throw shells in order to defeat Team Bowser. The second attraction is going to be Yoshi's Adventure, which will be a people mover-esque ride where guests will search for glowing eggs as well as weave through iconic Mushroom Kingdom locales and see a few familiar friends along the way. And that's all in the Super Mario area. Then jumping over to Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country will host one attraction that will be Minecart Madness. This will be a roller coaster, so guests will help DK protect the golden banana. Guests will board mine carts and a thrilling family launch coaster as they speed through the Golden Temple and perform maneuvers that have never been done before. Now, those aren't the only things that you can do in Super Nintendo World. There will actually be hidden activities throughout the world. So with the use of the power-up bands that you can purchase, you can interact with certain items in around the area, not only just in Super Nintendo World, but as well as Donkey Kong Country. And they might reveal some secret locations and secret activities that you can possibly do. So, with that little short overview of Super Nintendo World, what do you guys think? Are you guys ready for Super Nintendo World?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to hold myself back from going off when you started talking about Yoshi's Adventure because I see People Mover-esque and People Mover's like top 3 ride for me. I love anything in that vein. I just love a nice chill ride, and so that got me so excited to see something else like that coming along.
Well, what's funny is that we're getting the Yoshi attraction that was only in Tokyo because Super Nintendo World over in California, love it. It's just so small they couldn't fit it in.
Yeah, which is really cool. I just kind of go back to what I said earlier in the pod is that I wish we just didn't get copies of rides in different parks. You know, Disney does it and Universal's doing it now too, but I do wish like there was something different at Epic in Super Nintendo World that we didn't have at other parks, because we have the Mario Kart thing, we have Yoshi, we're going to get 2 versions of Donkey Kong, and they all sound super fun and I'm super excited to see it, but I wish we had like one thing different.
Yeah, I feel that. That's why when Super Nintendo World was the next land they were revealing for the entire Epic thing, I was like, great, what have you guys not already told us?
Yeah, give us Luigi's Mansion. Come on.
I mean, if Alicia Stella has anything to say about it, she's been looking at the patents and it's hinted that we might be getting something in that vein for an expansion.
That'd be great.
That would be right up my alley there.
If that's the case, this is a little mini Blue Sky pitch, but not the actual Blue Sky pitch. I kind of want that to be a Return to Form Dark ride. I don't want that to be a shooter ride. As much as I would like to go around sucking up ghosts with the Poltergust,
yeah.
I wanted a traditional dark ride. That seems just way funner than just the Zapper ride.
And like hologram technology, have like a big holographic King Boo coming at the car. Like there's so many cool things.
Oh, yeah.
Holographic Pepper's Ghost. There you go. Just give me a classic dark ride for Luigi's Mansion.
Absolutely. My only other negative thing with Super Nintendo World, because I'm generally very excited for it because I haven't done the other 2 yet. Like it seems really fun, but I think Jack Patillo brought it up on the Annual Pass podcast too, that there's so much interactivity in these Super Nintendo Worlds with the power bands and everything, and it's gone really good in Japan, but I feel like we haven't seen it run its course really in California yet. But like we've all seen little American kids at theme parks just like being menaces, tearing on everything, pulling on things, jumping on things. Like I'm sure they're child-proofing everything, but I'm curious to see the wear and tear on the park.
I brought a similar thing up with one of my buddies because the one thing I'm worried about, because as a ride operator, I see how people use magic bands and stuff and how they tap in at one of the touch points for any attraction, and I just see them like Falcon punch those suckers, and like literally like decals are falling off everything. I'm like, Just tap it.
Yeah.
It's just a love tap. And their version of a love tap is just a falcon punch. But I was reassured those things are made to last.
Hey, good.
Oh God,
That's
Well,
what I mean.
yeah,
I don't want to go there in like 10 years and see a big caved in bottom of a question mark block, you know?
Yeah, I feel that. It's so funny because I think there's a video on, I want to say it's on TikTok or something, of some guy just going around trying to do like this punch up for the band and stuff, and he punches the wrong one, and it's like a solid like brick.
God.
The thing that does get me a little jazzed about this is the entire gamification of going to that land and stuff and seeing what exactly you can do. Because again, I don't want to spoil it, but there is a fun little like secret activity you can do if you complete all like the mini games in the Super Nintendo world, and it looks like the same might be the case over in Donkey Kong Country as well, where there might be areas that you can interact with that give you a certain key to get into another secret activity that not a lot of guests, if they don't either take the time or don't purchase a power-up band, will get to experience.
One thing I was going to say here is, will the interactions with the power-up bands either transfer in any capacity across the parks, or do you think they might even have some of these like interactive, gamified sort of experiences that will maybe require you to go across multiple parks to complete it?
I don't think it's going to go that far, because I know each of the Universal parks has their own dedicated app to it, because I know it's all run through the Universal Experience app. It's basically the same way that Villain Con Minion Blast works. Basically, it's just going to bring up a little web-based application and the actual app itself, and then transfer that. It may though, because I know those things are also amiibo, so that's another thing. That's another thing that could be tied to that band. But again, I think for sanity for IT, I think those power-up bands will be more or less region locked to those specific parks. I do have a feeling though, and this is just my gut feeling, that because we might see other Nintendo properties pop up that aren't at Epic. I know that Lost Continent has been for years and years touted as being taken over by Legend of Zelda. There might be a component with Match Band over there, with a power-up band over there, excuse me. And then I know, so there's also been talks about Pokemon too coming to the parks as well. But whether those would interact with those power-up bands is, we just have to see. It'd be cool if they did though.
Give me a power-up band in the shape of a Pokeball, and I'll be touching that thing to everything in the parks.
Just imagine you take those old like Pokemon Go,
yes,
like little bracelets you bought and stuff. It's like, here you go, works on Nintendo. Okay,
absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, like with this being sort of the kind of theme with what we've been talking about here too, with things just being the same across all three iterations of this now, I feel like it's probably not yet ripe enough for that sort of like cross park interaction there. Until there's a little bit of differentiation across those, it probably makes sense just to keep them locked from an experience perspective.
Yeah, probably. The one can dream that technology would actually work with us. We're actually going to be jumping across the coast now, friends. So going from Florida all the way to California, as things are about to get fast and furious. So Universal Studios will be getting a Fast and Furious roller coaster. They finally announced the actual name for the attraction and when we can expect to see it. It will be called Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift. It will open up in 2026, and this will be located up in the upper lot. It took over the place of where the old Animal Actors and special effects shows ran. So this will be Universal's first high-speed outdoor roller coaster. The reason why this is touted as Universal's first high-speed launch coaster for the outdoors is because one problem with Universal California is that it's located next to a neighborhood, so sound is definitely an issue over there. The technology they're using for this particular roller coaster is kind of astounding. This coaster will be by Intamin, so these are also the guys that did Velocicoaster. The ride vehicles have full 360-degree controlled rotation, which is similar to Cosmic Rewind, and they also have state-of-the-art sound dampening walls they're using throughout the attraction to kind of take down that sound level for a coaster. That way the neighbors of Universal Studios California don't complain as much, and also allows them to maybe bring other potential rides at the Florida parks and any other parks into the Universal lot as well. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this is them like really wanting to test bed that sound dampening tech, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it's a huge thing because I know that like Universal gets complaints constantly, even from the studio tour when Kong was there, like the old Confrontation was there, of being able to hear Kong all the way through their houses and stuff when it was operating.
Wow.
I'll trade him.
Yeah, I would love to hear Kong at like 9 o'clock in the morning. That sounds great. That's my alarm.
I thought you were going to say 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, why would it be running at 3 o'clock in the morning?
I was about to say that too.
Yeah.
Well, Horror Nights. There you go. Who knows if this works out as well as they think it's going to work out? We might be able to see an expansion for maybe Donkey Kong coming over to Hollywood Studios.
Right. Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same as Harry Potter. Like I haven't really been in the Fast and Furious franchise very much, other than the beautiful Fast and Furious ride that we have in Orlando.
Don't. I have still not forgiven Jack for taking me on that thing.
But I'm a huge Intamin launch coaster fan. I love Velocicoaster. I love Maverick up in Ohio. I mean, Intamin launch coasters are amazing, especially with the little pivot in the ride vehicles like in Cosmic Rewind. I think it will be a really, really fun coaster. I wish it had a different skin, but hey, I'll be there to ride the coaster.
Hey, if anything, it kind of reminds me a little bit of the old Italian job coaster because those cars were able to more or less do pivots and stuff here and there. But with this one, even just looking at some pre-renders that some people have done online for this and No Limits, like this is insane. Looking at those cars being able to rotate and go upside down, it's just making me just nerdgasm because that's just awesome. I wish that Cosmic Rewind did go upside down. That'd be so much fun to do that.
Yeah, and I can't imagine a coaster doing spinning and moving better than Cosmic Rewind. Like I feel like it's such a good balance of, not everybody is getting completely motion sick. Like everybody can ride it and have a good time. Maybe you can speak differently to that. Maybe there are a lot of people that are getting motion sick in Cosmic Rewind, but
it's a bit of both. I make the joke anytime someone comes off the attraction saying, oh, do people like this? It's kind of 50-50. You have the Jack Sparrow. Did everyone see that? Because I will not be doing that again. To the Steve Rogers.
Right.
I can do this all day. it's
yeah,
those
and
two
I think
right
what Universal's going to do is really turn that up to 11 with putting it in the Fast and Furious franchise and putting inversions in there and stuff. So I'm curious to see the nausea meter for everybody.
And hopefully, if this does well, we get this coaster over here and we get rid of Supercharged. It's a win-win. Alrighty. So that is going to end our general track talk.
Real quick.
Sorry.
Joe, real quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in here. We
No
just
worries.
got through a whole Fast and Furious segment without mentioning family once. I just want to note that achievement.
We almost made it out of there. You had to bring us back.
We almost made it out. We almost made it out with the family.
Does it count if I'm noticing it?
All right. Here. I'll do a little stinger for Fast and Furious. So, Fast and the Furious Hollywood Drift will be coming to Universal's Hollywood Studios in 2026. One thing is for certain, this will be one hell of a family ride.
Yay!
Whoa!
There we go.
Oh, that was terrible.
We're good.
Fixed it. There we go. Alrighty, friends. With that, we are going to be jumping into one of my favorite segments called Blue Sky Pitches. All right, friends. So the way that Blue Sky Pitches work is that we are going to be able to create any attraction that we like. Basically, we have endless funds. We can place this anywhere we want to. We can make this as weird as we want it. For the sake of this Blue Sky Pitch, I actually have an attraction for you guys.
Let's hear it.
All right.
Alrighty. So there has been a recent rumor that there's a huge land deal that has already been kind of approved for Disney's Hollywood Studios. There's a couple of projects that are thrown around there. One has been completing the loop between the Animation Courtyard and Tower of Terror, and the other one is potentially taking out Launch Bay and adding another attraction there. And if that was the second one particular IP has been looked at so far, and that IP is Monsters Incorporated. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's one scene in particular from Monsters Incorporated that I am shocked has never been turned into an attraction, and that is the door chase scene.
Oh yeah.
So then my pitch for you guys is a Monsters Inc. roller coaster that is based off that door chase scene. Ideally, this would be an inverted coaster, so this would be a Disney first, because I don't believe they've ever done an inverted roller coaster before. And the special thing about these ride vehicles in particular is that they were able to do 360-degree controlled rotations. So this would be similar to what the ride vehicles for Jurassic Flyers over at Universal Beijing can do. So the story for this attraction would be is that we are a new recruit of MIFT, that is the Monsters Inc. facilities team. And this is one of our first couple days on the job. And all of a sudden we get a call that there's something happening on the last floor. We go and investigate it out. And it turns out there's a door malfunction and a monster is now stuck inside one of the doors. And the door is currently being recalled into the door warehouse. It's now our job to get this monster back. So we jump into our ride vehicles, which will be a 4-person pod for this hanging coaster. And we get onto the track. So the first scene, we'd see the last floor kind of underneath us, kind of like Peter Pan's flight a little bit. That's when we see the door in question pop up and then take off into the maintenance tunnel, and we chase after it. And that's when we launch. So this won't be like a super fast launch coaster. This will be more like Slinky Dog. You'll have that very slow start, and then you'll start to pick off maybe to like 30-45 miles per hour. And while you're going through the doors, you'll have some minor dips here and there, but you also the vehicle will start to turn. And all of a sudden you start hearing laughter from children, and that starts to activate lights and everything for all the other doors, and that causes the attraction to spin a little bit further, a little bit faster. And eventually we catch up with that other door and bring it back to the last floor, and that's where you save the day, and you let out the friendly monster, who turns out to be Mike Wazowski. And that is my little blue sky pitch for you guys for a Monsters Inc. roller coaster type attraction.
I love it, man. I love the idea of zipping through the doors and stuff, because near miss elements like that on roller coasters are so fun.
But yeah, I've always wanted to see a Monsters Inc. roller coaster because that scene just works so perfectly for it.
I was gonna say one of my favorite elements about this is, first of all, hanging coaster is perfect for this. That's exactly the vibe you need to have. I like the kind of launch aspect to it. Like my experience with hanging coasters, probably the one I go to first that comes to mind is Great Bear up in Hershey Park. I used to ride that a little bit here and there, but that's not really a launch. And so to imagine that experience, but like with an initial like launch like that, when you're just kind of dangling, that would blow me away.
Yeah, that's one of the key elements.
Launch coasters are where it's at. I mean, it's not like it's brand new either, right? Like Hulk, been around for a long time. Tire launch coaster works amazing. Even Rock and Roller Coaster, it's a great launch coaster. And with that supposedly dying soon, would you fit something like this little Monsters Inc. thing in that building? I don't think it's big enough for what you're talking about by any means, but
well, even still, like people are saying, if we put this into Hollywood Studios, you can make that practically a Pixar area. Takes over what Launch Bay is right now. Around the corner, you got Pixar Street or whatever. It used to be that old Pixar studio office, which is now in Crediburg for the Edna Mode meet and greet and stuff. And then around the corner you have Toy Story Land. So it kind of works into making like this little mini area for Pixar, which I'm honestly surprised hasn't happened already.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, as a big Star Wars nerd, if they were going to expand Hollywood Studios, I wish it was Star Wars, but I'll take Pixar.
You want those last attractions that were promised to us for Bat 2, but then we never got.
I tell you, this is off topic. The thing I want more than anything is just like a Star Wars actual sit down restaurant. The canteen is cool, but it'd be sweet to have a little restaurant. But that's way off topic.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
We almost had it. It was gonna be a sit down cabaret style restaurant and stuff where you would have a performer on stage and stuff. So kind of what they had over at the Halcyon.
Yeah.
But you would be watching performers and just vibe out in that Star Wars area.
Man, that's a great point. The old Star Cruiser is perfect. Like bus people, take that old bus transport from Hollywood Studios, take them to that empty building, let us have a cool Star Wars meal, ship us back. The people would pay a lot of money for that.
Oh, they would. And they know that, but they're not going to do it.
Yeah. Sorry, I hijacked your blue sky there.
You're totally fine. This is the point of blue sky pitches, is that we get on tangents and stuff about talking about rides and stuff and then creating rides. It's all about the experience, because at the end of the day, this is a theme park podcast by the community for the community. Hey, tagline.
You have me you have me going down a road
But
of
no.
like thinking about, well, what if it was placed there, and what if it was like Star Wars themed? What would that look like? But I'm thinking like I like the Monsters Inc. theme because there's not a lot of like sort of like more thrill ride kind of things around Monsters Inc. that I'm aware of. Like especially like at Disney World, like I think all you have is just a Laugh Factory at Magic Kingdom. And that's a show. Like you don't have any really Monsters Inc. attractions.
It seems like there's only like one Monsters Inc. attraction per park. So like you mentioned, so they have that Mike and Sully to the Rescue. That's what it's called over at California for DCA. Then you have the Laugh Factory over at Magic Kingdom, and then there's it's not. I don't think it's not Shanghai. It's not Hong Kong. I think it's Tokyo. I want to say it's Tokyo. It's
Like you shoot the monsters or something.
yeah, that one. The one, yeah, it's the one with the flashlights. Let me give you a second to look it up. All right, here it is. Yeah, it's Tokyo. So cool. I'm in the right ballpark. It's Monsters Inc. Ride and Go Seek. God, that is such a weird name for a ride. So yeah, I feel like Monsters Inc. is one of those properties that I'm surprised they haven't done more with, especially now that they're still making content for Monsters Inc. because they had University, but now they're doing the TV show.
Monsters at Work.
They have Monsters at Work. So Disney is really on that synergy machine. I'm surprised they haven't done more Monsters Inc. stuff, especially now that over at Hollywood Studios where they got rid of that Mike and Sully's meet and greet, and it's now a Little Mermaid meet and greet again over at the Walt Disney Presents.
And I mean, like we talked about with the DreamWorks Land, like we talked about with Shrek, some of these movies, even though they are like ballpark of 20 years old, they're still in the zeitgeist. I think they would definitely be, especially like a thrill coaster, right? Like this would be a magnet for like the adults who were kids when that came out, who would be happy to see a Monsters Inc. ride.
And I just think like Hollywood, like I like Hollywood Studios. I miss Hollywood Studios from like the 90s, but it is what it is. But like they need something like over there by Launch Bay and everything. They kind of need some more attractions to like do something with the crowds, because it's like there's always crowds in Toy Story and there's always crowds in Galaxy's Edge, but not a lot of attractions.
Yeah, them talking about completing that loop, because that's the one problem with Hollywood Studios is that there's not the only good loop you have is from if you're going through Galaxy's Edge through Toy Story Land. But other than that, like you're having to double back a lot, like especially with the Tower of Terror, like Sunset section.
I tell new people it's a kickstand. Sunset Boulevard, it's like the little weird kickstand hanging off the side of that park.
It's a yo-yo track. There you go. You go ride your thrill rides. You go ride Tower.
Yeah,
Rocking
that's exactly it.
Up.
Don't forget Beauty and the Beast.
And Beauty and the Beast. I forgot about that one. Yeah. You do Tower, Beauty, then Rock and Roller Coaster, maybe Lightning McQueen Racing Academy, then you come back for Fantasmic. This has been fun. Friends, I want to thank you guys so very much for coming along and helping me run this weird, ridiculous podcast and actually being able to do this. This is great. I love this.
Yeah, thank you for having us, man.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun.
This has been If You Can Dream It. This podcast is produced by yours truly, Joe Lozano. Thank you again for watching and or listening. And until next time, we'll see you in the queue.